Every time a nation struggles, when inflation surges and currencies collapse, when public services decay, we're told it's a tragedy, a failure of leadership, a failure of policy, a failure of discipline. But here's the mystery no one likes to confront. Why do the same groups keep getting richer, while entire countries slowly fall apart? If national failure is accidental, why is elite success so consistent? Today, we're uncovering an uncomfortable truth. For a small financial elite, national decline isn't a disaster. It's a business model. Setting the stage, the illusion of shared outcomes. Most people believe that when a country suffers, everyone suffers. That assumption feels logical, but it's dangerously wrong. To understand why, we need to separate nations from systems. A nation is its people, infrastructure, public services, and culture. A financial system is abstract capital flows, debt instruments, markets, and laws. Financial elites don't depend on nations thriving. They depend on systems operating. Historically, power belonged to landowners and kings. Their wealth rose and fell with the state. But over time, a new class emerged, one not tied to soil, borders, or national identity. Bankers, financiers, asset holders. They learned something crucial. If wealth can move faster than governments, then national decline becomes survivable, even profitable. Origins: when wealth detached from nations, the origins of elite profit during national failure trace back centuries. In medieval times, wealth was local. Land couldn't flee, crops couldn't relocate. If a kingdom failed, elites suffered alongside peasants. That changed with credit and banking. Early European finance, especially in Italy, the Netherlands, and later England, realized wealth could exist as contracts, loans, and claims rather than physical goods. Money became mobile. By the 17th century, governments were borrowing from private financiers. Wars were funded through debt. States promised future tax revenue in exchange for immediate capital. This created a silent inversion. The state became dependent on financiers, not the other way around. For the first time, a nation could weaken, while its creditors grew stronger. The rise institutionalizing elite advantage. The 19th and 20th centuries formalized this advantage. Central banks emerged, often privately influenced but publicly justified. Financial markets expanded across borders. Legal systems protected capital mobility. Key shift: losses became national, profits became private. When governments succeeded, financiers earned interest. When governments failed, financiers demanded austerity, privatization, and asset sales. Either way, money flowed upward. Colonial and post-colonial debt is a prime example. Developing nations borrowed to modernize. When repayment failed, they surrendered. Natural resources, infrastructure, monetary sovereignty. Financial elites didn't need these nations to thrivingly to remain indebted. Failure was not a bug. It was leverage, the breaking point. Crisis as opportunity. Every major crisis exposes the same pattern. The Great Depression, the Latin American debt crisis, the Asian financial crisis. 2008, COVID-19. In each case, nations suffered mass unemployment, collapsing services, and rising poverty. Meanwhile, financial elites adapted. They shorted currencies, bought distressed assets, received bailouts, accessed emergency liquidity before the public even knew what was happening. 2008 is the clearest example. Banks caused the collapse, but governments absorbed the damage. Trillions were created to save financial institutions. Public debt exploded, public trust collapsed, but elite wealth recovered quickly and then surged. Markets rebounded long before wages did. Asset prices soared while living standards stagnated. The nation broke. System didn't. Fallout, slow failure, silent transfer. Here's the part most people miss. National failure is rarely sudden. Slow, bureaucratic, and normalized. Infrastructure decays. Education weakens. Healthcare deteriorates. Currencies lose purchasing power. These aren't dramatic collapses. They're gradual erosions. And every erosion creates opportunity. As public services fail, private alternatives emerge. As currencies weaken, capital flees. As governments struggle, assets are sold cheaply. Financial elites don't need collapse. They profit from decline without revolution. Thus, the poorer the state becomes, the more desperate its decisions. That desperation is monetized. Its failed fixes, why reform never reaches the top. Governments try reforms. Tax changes, anti-corruption laws, financial regulations. They rarely work. Why? Because elites influence the very systems meant to regulate them. Capital can relocate. Lobbying reshapes laws. Complexity hides accountability. Even well-intentioned leaders face an impossible choice: protect citizens and risk capital flight, or protect markets and sacrifice the public. Most choose the latter because markets punish faster than voters. The structure remains intact. Modern parallels the pattern today. Global wealth inequality is extreme. The richest 1% owns more wealth than half the world combined. Meanwhile, public debt, infrastructure decay, and declining trust define many nations. Digital finance accelerates this divide. Money moves instantly. Assets inflate faster than wages. Governments compete to appease investors. Shocking reality: a nation can be failing, while its stock market hits record highs. That's not coincidence. It's design. Repeating patterns. Why this keeps happening? The pattern repeats because the incentives never change. Elites are rewarded for mobility, not loyalty. States are punished for instability, not exploitation. Citizens absorb losses through inflation, taxes, and reduced services. Every cycle deepens dependence, and each crisis strengthens elite control. 3 clear takeaways. 1. Financial elites are insulated from national decline. Their wealth is mobile, protected, and diversified across borders. 2. National failure creates profit opportunities. Debt, privatization, asset sales, and crisis interventions benefit the top. 3. The system rewards detachment, not responsibility. Those least affected by failure gain the most power over recovery. Warning: open-ended thought. If nations continue to fail slowly, while elites profit quietly, something fundamental breaks. Not economies, but legitimacy. What happens when people realize decline isn't accidental, that it's structured, managed, and monetized? History shows that systems can ignore inequality for a long time. Call to action: if this changed how you see money, power, and national decline. Subscribe, share this video, and stay curious. Because the most dangerous systems aren't the ones that collapse loudly. They're the ones that fail slowly, while someone else quietly profits.